Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I am Chris Rice Crypto with World Alternative Media, and today I am joined by a returning guest, the infamous John McAfee, who's actually joining us in exile on an island called the Great Exuma. And this is a man who's definitely never shy to share his opinion on anything. So, John, again, I want to thank you for coming out and joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me on. You're giving me something to do for the morning.
That's awesome. You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is right now, I mean, the last time I interviewed you, we had talked about your run for presidency in 2020. And it looks like right now you're kind of running that presidential campaign in exile.
Yes, I am.
Some people may not be familiar with why you might be in exile. Do you mind elaborating a little bit about what's been going on?
Well, you know, as a libertarian, I'm one of those libertarians that believe that income taxation is theft, that I have a natural right, a fundamental right to earn a living. And anything that diminishes that right is illegal and unlawful. And the government diminishes it by making me work for them for 4 months out of the year. Well, I take issue with that. 8 years ago, I simply stopped paying taxes, period. I sent them letters every year saying I am not filling out an income tax return. I believe taxation is theft. You know where I live. And so for 8 years, they left me alone. Now that I'm running for president on a platform against the IRS, among other things, they took issue, and on the 22nd of January, convened a grand jury to charge me, my wife, and 4 of our campaign workers with unspecified felonies.
Oh, wow. So does that mean that there's warrants out for your arrest in that sense?
Does that mean what?
Does that mean that you have warrants out for your arrest?
Well, I don't know yet. I mean, there's been no result from that grand jury. They're either still deliberating or they're being fed more data, or the IRS prosecutor is keeping something else secret. You know, I may not have been found guilty by the grand jury, guilty enough to be charged,
Right.
Or I may have. So in any case, I'm staying here throughout the duration because I cannot risk being arrested while I'm on my campaign, because I will lose access to the public. Now, after this is over, I'll be happy to turn myself in.
Okay, that makes complete sense. And speaking of your campaign, do you want to elaborate a little bit about the platform that you're running on specifically? Because that's one of the reasons why I like talking to you about this subject.
Oh, my platform is very simple. I believe that our government has gone insane, that it is paranoid of us, its citizens, that it has become the world's policeman to a ridiculous point, where we're involved with giving advice to governments, where we as a nation do not speak their language, understand their history, their culture, their religion, their political affiliations or alliances, and we have the arrogance to tell these people what to do. And if they don't do it, we drop bombs on them. Now, this is another aspect of our insanity. I think that we as citizens know nothing about the truth of what our government is doing. We are fed disinformation from the CIA through the State Department and other parts of our government. And it is not true, none of it. It can't be. Secrets are the main thing that our government does, is keep secrets while spying on us, the citizens, through cameras, through satellites, by affiliations with Google and other places that collect data. So it knows everything about us. We know nothing about it. And so to ask about what would we do about immigration, what would we do about this, it's almost impossible to answer because we don't have the facts.
Right.
We have only the facts that the government wants us to know. So for me, we have to first solve the problem of this overburdening government. We have to get the government to tell the truth. I want to have everybody just voted out and randomly pick people. Would it be any worse? No. It would be much better, because whoever was randomly picked would take dozens of years to form a power structure that is as burdensome as the power structure that we currently suffer under.
Okay. So how is everything going with the campaign since you're doing it from not being here in the States? I noticed that you're trying to make you're trying to get some people on a global level, on an international level that are also trying to help campaign for you as well. Can you elaborate why
Well,
you're taking that stance?
well, there are a couple of things. The fact that I am in exile is attractive to the news, so I have no trouble in getting my message out. And the fact that I am running a campaign in every country. Currently, only in England, Ireland, Germany, China, Russia, and Austria. But I intend to be in every country with country managers. Why? People think it's crazy because these people can't vote in Ireland or Russia. However, all of these countries have a great interest in who is going to be POTUS and what the issues are. Why? Because if a warmonger gets in, for example, everybody is shivering and worrying about what the might of the U.S. is going to be manifest as. And if someone who reads books and is a pacifist, that's a different story. So they're all interested. And what I am doing through these country managers is getting videos of me presenting things and people asking questions, which I intend to then display here in the U.S. so that we can finally see why we are so disliked in the world, why America is so distrusted and feared. And I think if we see the truth of this, maybe we'll look in the mirror and change somewhat.
That's awesome, man. That's really great because I definitely talk about something on a daily basis that I call practice change, where I encourage people to be that change that they want to see in the world. That quote that came from Gandhi, and I think the more of us that be that change that we want to see in this world, the more that we can actually change this world. So I think that's
Of course.
awesome that you put that. Now, one thing too that I just noticed recently on Twitter is that you've been posting something about asking people if they want to come to the island of Exuma and volunteer and help out with your campaign.
Yes.
That's something I'm actually considering doing on a personal level, and I'll talk to you about that another time. But do you want to go into that a little bit? Maybe tell people what you're looking for?
Because I have to have staff here in order to run a campaign legitimately. I mean, if it's going to be any campaign at all. And I'm asking basically people who are self-supporting, adventurous types who might be bored with their lives and want an adventure to come here. Because this is an adventurous place. It's certainly the most beautiful island on the planet, which is why I chose it for my exile. It's a very simple place, 900 people in this town, Georgetown, only 7,000 on the entire island. Now, these are the people, by the way, if I am extradited or an attempt is made, who will be my jurors in choosing whether or not I am extradited back to the States. And I've integrated well into this population here. So yes, anybody who does want to come, if you're truly willing to cooperate and help, please come on down.
Yeah, definitely. And you can check all this out on Twitter. And there's a Google document that goes into some details about some of the specifics and stuff like that. So again, yeah, it's awesome that you're inviting just the everyday person to be able to participate in something like this. That's what I think is really cool about you being so down to earth and open-minded when it comes to things like this. And another thing
I'm an everyday person just like everybody. There's nothing unique about. The only difference between me and anybody else is my name is known. You don't know me anymore.
You're kind of a legend and living legend, man. You know,
all right, but still, it's a legend of name. But
you've done a lot of things in your lifetime.
Pardon?
You've done a lot of things in your lifetime.
Well, yes, I have. That's true. That's because I retired early.
That's good. One last thing I wanted to ask you about was your $1 million Bitcoin bet.
Yes.
Before I go into, I wanted to find out your reasoning behind it. I have an idea of where you're at, but I just wanted to get an idea of like where your reasoning was as to come up to the conclusion that by the end of 2020, one Bitcoin will be worth $1 million, or else you said you would eat your private part, your member.
Well, I base that entirely on the usage of Bitcoin and the extrapolation from its growth, which it is holding. Now, the value of Bitcoin is not the market value that we are trading at. The true value of Bitcoin, and this will become apparent certainly within the next year, is the number of people using Bitcoin for purchases and sales. Please God. If the entire world is using it, we're talking about a $10 million coin or a $20 million coin. And based on pure extrapolation and simple mathematics, I can't possibly lose this bet. The world will come to its senses between now and the end of 2020. I mean, that's 19 months away.
Right. No, it is. And one of the things I was curious is whether or not you were taking in the fact that there's a possibility of the crash of the US dollar.
Well, of course I'm taking it in, because as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency grows, fiats will devalue. That's the other thing, of course.
So I guess since we're on this line right here, what are your thoughts and feelings on the Federal Reserve?
I mean, nothing good, that's for sure. It's probably the worst thing that ever happened to America, and it is one of the key key fulcrums of power that we need to diminish. Centralized power is the Federal Reserve is the epitome of that, and so it's got to go, and it will go on its own. We don't need to do anything. As cryptocurrencies emerge, it will disappear.
Awesome, I like that. Is there anything else that you want to add, John, before we wrap things up?
No, I think you covered the bases, sir.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you joining us. I encourage everybody to like, subscribe, and share this video. Definitely check out my own personal YouTube channel at Rise Crypto. John, again, thank you for everything. And I encourage everybody, be the change by practicing change.
Like what you see, Hero M? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube, as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.